Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a great Friday, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, let's get into the news this Friday morning. It is possible that after the 20th consecutive loss for McCarthy, so we have 11 straight losses, 11 attempts on the House floor to get to 218 for Kevin McCarthy, 218 Republicans, 22, I think 21 Republicans refuse. It's getting worse 11 times. So it's been over 150 years that this has taken place. And you look, ladies and gentlemen, you have to ask yourself, 160 year, how did this take place? Why are we here? Well, McCarthy does not have the support, and he will not get the support unless he concedes even more to 20 Republicans, Chip Roy, Matt Gaetz, Lauren, Boebert, and others. Byron Donalds, he has to concede even more. He's conceded to almost every demand, but they want more, which is very good. It's very good for democracy. Okay. You want those 20 Republicans to ensure we don't get back to business as usual. People do not like business as usual. For anyone wondering why this is taking place, how could this happen? Oh, the Republican Party is in disarray. I don't care about party. I don't care about political party. Political party is meaningless, absolutely meaningless. You don't want the same dysfunction. You don't want the same establishment nonsense. You don't want Republicans to side with Democrats on never-ending military conflict or policies that hurt the country. We have record highs in inflation. Now, it's directly because of Biden's policies, his energy policy in particular, that he then had to reverse course and flood 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves right before November of last year. Okay. This was a year and a half after he was shooed by 14 states in oil and gas associations. So Biden came in wanting to go and save the planet, then costs went up. This is after all, so Democrats pushed to shut down our economic system, along with media and experts and bureaucrats and Republicans who went along. We can't have one party rule. And that means we can't have Democrats. We're unified old times and Republicans will just fall in line along with Democrats. So the 20 Republicans, what they're doing is excellent. McCarthy has Trump's backing. Trump could abandon. I think that he will abandon McCarthy after the 28th or 25th consecutive defeat by Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and Chip Roy and Byron Donalds and Freedom Republicans. I think that after the 28th or so 2025, that could be until next week. Once it gets to above 2020 defeats, you're looking at things changing. They could recruit Donald Trump, which Matt gets nominated today. Trump will abandon or pull his support from McCarthy if he is given an alternative. If he's given an alternative. So somebody has to, whether it's Byron Donalds, or if they recruit Jim Jordan as the House Judiciary Chairman, but there has to be Steve Scalise. That has to be somebody that never McCarthy people will rally around. Because what will take place is, the only reason McCarthy is in he's the odds-on favorite, but only because he already has the 200. He has the 200 Republicans, but if he loses 5 or 10 if it's 30 Republicans, and if he continues to lose support, and he will continue to lose afford the longer this goes. Okay. Now, there was talk of a letter that McCarthy wrote. I talked about the text message that Matt Gaetz released, where it was a threatening, hey, you know what, I can do this all day type of thing from McCarthy. So that's not very good. But then today, there was. So that's the segment prior to this one. But there is a report out that McCarthy has conceded and caved to even more demands. And then he's written a letter in writing, stating like a contract almost. That's good. That's very good. So if he ever does, if McCarthy does get it, it will be a dream. It'll be Matt Gaetz being de facto Speaker of the House, which is what Newsweek talked about. Okay. The longer this goes, the worse it is for McCarthy. But the more Trump can be influenced by Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and others. The Freedom Republicans in the Freedom Caucus have the ear of Trump. They're the most passionate supporters of President Trump, but also of Trump's ideology, which is infinitely more moral and just and good than just allowing atrocities to take place in the southern geographic region of our country, like Democrats are not doing anything about it. Worse things are taking place in that region now than they were during the Trump's tenure. And by the way, I'm not conservative on everything. I'm conservative. I'm probably most or a lot of most things, especially the Second Amendment, but I want dreamers to become citizens. I do. I want dreamers to become citizens. Trump offered that for a wall. Democrats said no. And had we listened to Trump, or had Democrats listened to Trump, you would have had dreamers with citizenship, immediate citizenship, because you can look, that's an ABC News article and numerous other articles, you can look at that, you could look that up, and we would have protection. And we wouldn't have the atrocities, or nearly as many atrocities, taking place. But Democrats want to appear moral at the expense of morality. The truth about the Democratic Party makes you vote Trump. The truth as to FTX money, the crypto Ponzi scheme that flooded the Democratic Party with $1 billion. And so you need to investigate that. You need to impeach Biden, which McCarthy already promised. But you need to investigate all of this classified records that could exonerate Trump on a public scale. Okay. Or Trump Republicans. So they couldn't get Trump on any indictment because they don't have anything in a court of law that could prove he's a criminal. That's a fact. Trump did not commit a crime. What the January committee was public relations as a PR stunt. And you have now Kinzinger, I believe, working for CNN. But the Democratic Party would never do this. See, I used to be on the left, on the progressive or left-leaning spectrum. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders is most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. You would think you would want, like AOC and other progressive candidate, Congress, women or congresspeople, congressmen, to battle Pelosi, and say no, unless you have to get Medicare for all and Green New Deal and vote for it on the House floor. They won't even vote for these. You understand how pathetic certain parts of the Democratic Party are. I mean, the thing is, the machine, the Democratic Party, media, government agencies with Twitter, it's a machine breaking First Amendment laws left and right, but they don't even have the audacity of their courage. You think Bernie Sanders will say all Medicare for all or else I'm not supporting you? It would never happen. But these 20 Republicans, Matt Gaetz, Chip Roy, Lauren Boebert, these people are awesome. They are awesome. It doesn't, you might not even like them. If you're watching right now, you might be on the left. You might not like it, but you know what? They are standing up to power. They are doing exactly what Democrats are looking for. Left wish. McCarthy ain't gonna be anywhere near the Speaker of the House. He's already in the office. He's already moved into the office, but he doesn't have the votes. He doesn't have the Republican support, and Trump could abandon McCarthy any moment once there needs to be a Scalise or Byron Donalds to take over. Okay. So you need a replacement, then you need Trump's backing. And you could ask if you get a replacement and 30 to 40 Republicans to even 10 more Republicans. So you get 30 Republicans, a replacement, and then Trump abandons McCarthy and then just says, hey, you know what? This person is better, and just pay off. Just give him $1 million to McCarthy. It's not difficult. He would almost certainly, you give the man $1 million. And that would be you might say, well, that's not ethical, or if it's illegal, if it's legal. Pay McCarthy $1 million from the RNC for it, or Trump, or raise $1 million GoFundMe. I don't know. I'm saying if it's legal. I'm not saying to do it. I'm saying if it's legal, if it is legal to give McCarthy like a concession, or what is it called? If it was feasible and illegal, they could pay off McCarthy with $1 million or so. And then offer an alternative that's better for the country and better for the Republican Party, and have Trump back that alternative. And then some significant news. Meanwhile, speaking of censorship, Jordan Peterson is now under fire by, apparently, members of the College of Psychologists, Ontario. What exactly did Jordan do? Obviously, Jordan Peterson, full disclosure, is a host at Daily Wire Plus. Jordan blasted Canada's Commerce Hours and penned a scathing letter to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau Tuesday after a leading association of his fellow psychologists threatened to go after his license to practice clinical psychology over social media criticisms of the nation's far-left government. The College of Psychologists Ontario ordered the best-selling author and Daily Wire Plus host to undergo social media communications retraining. The re-education plan are facing hearing on the potential suspension of his medical license. Writing to Justin Trudeau, Peterson vowed not to participate, said, quote, I simply cannot resign myself to the fact that in my lifetime, I'm required to resort to a public letter to the leader of my country to point out that political criticism has now become such a crime in Canada, that of professionals do engage in such activity. Government-appointed commerce hours will threaten their livelihood and present them with the spectacle of denouncement and political disgrace. There is simply and utterly no excuse whatsoever for such a state of affairs in a free country. This, of course, is just the latest of several investigations launched by the College of Psychology, with prior complaints haven't been dismissed. What exactly did Jordan do that was so terrible that now he is being investigated by this ridiculous organization, the College of Psychologists, Ontario? What exactly did he do? Well, he retweeted Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre. I'm going to screw up his name, but so be it. Lasted Trudeau his former senior aide Gerald Butts, and he blasted New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, tweeting opposition to a plan by Ottawa police to take custody of the children of trucker convoy protesters. He also told Joe Rogan's podcast audience that accepting radical gender theory is a sign of civilization collapsing, and also said that climate change models are unreliable. So apparently this is enough for the college executive director to review the tweets in the transcript from Peterson's appearance on Joe Rogan and determine that this warranted an investigation. The probe has now been extended to include subsequent social media posts by Peterson, including a main Twitter post in which he said that Sports Illustrated putting plus-size swimsuit model You Mean New on the cover was not an example of beauty ultra, and wrote at that point, "Remember this big controversy?" He wrote, "Sorry, not beautiful, and no amount of off-Korean authoritarians' tolerance is going to change that." He also tweeted that the movie star Ellen Page, who now goes by Elliot Page, is actually a woman. They got this particular college, by the way. It sounds like a private organization in Canada. That's not the way that it works. The college is a government-regulated association that regulates and has the authority to sanction psychologists, ostensibly to protect the health and safety of workers in the public. Peter is in charge at the Ontario Professional Organization, has been hounding him since 2017. He said, "I was never investigated for anything for the 20 years I practiced prior to my emergence on the public scene. But because the college is obligated to probe any written complaint filed against member," Peterson says that he has been buffeted with investigations, many of which were prompted by anonymous calls. One accused him of being transphobic, Sussex, sexist and racist for pointing out an article from Crisis magazine accusing the transgender movement of targeting autistic children. Last year, Peterson was taken to task by the college after telling a scientist who said overpopulation was a threat to the planet that he was free to leave at any point. The college opened an investigation and Jordan declined to cooperate. He said at the time, "Take whatever steps you deem necessary. I'm simply not going to spend the hours and days required to undergo the unbelievably stressful process necessary to respond to this formally, because one of the millions people follow me on social media took offense to one thing I said at one point." Now again, one of the reasons that they are targeting Jordan is shut everybody else up. Jordan has a big enough platform that it's very unlikely that he's going to end up being banned from the practice of psychology in Canada by the College of Psychologists of Ontario. But the whole point is to shut everybody else up, that people have less of a platform than Jordan. And this is the point on Twitter as well. It's intimidate people into silence, you ban a few accounts, and then you get everybody else to shut up. This is the goal of the censorship regime. And free speech is the predicate to having an open conversation on any of these important issues. And given the amount that the experts have used their authoritarian power to silence actual useful conversation, it is truly scary that you now have commerce hours in supposedly Western countries like Canada as happening in the UK as well. Cracking down on free speech. You remember that case just a couple of weeks ago, from before the new year, in which a woman in the UK was arrested for silently praying outside of an abortion clinic, literally just standing there. And they asked if she was praying and she said, "Maybe in my head," and they arrested her for that. The Western civilization cannot abide the authoritarians who now have decided that because they are the elite they get to control not only how you act and what you do, but also what you see, what you watch, how you think. This is truly scary stuff. Whether it is being monitored through private companies like Twitter, or whether it's being done directly by governments, like the government in Canada, and good for Jordan, for standing up to it. I'm glad Jordan does this sort of stuff because frankly, if Jordan didn't do it, who else would be left to stand up against this sort of stuff? Alrighty guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not gonna want to miss it. We'll be getting into Ron DeSantis' new inaugural address. Is it his presidential pitch? That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. If you're up for it. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching.